So here we are, and just some basic introduction outlines as to how we're going to proceed with this game of blind table tennis. Our board could have regular dimensions, 4 by 8, or a piece of plywood would suffice. A raised edge between a quarter and half inch, because what the idea is you want to keep the ball in, so that raised edge goes all around. The rackets have been modified, and I love what have been done with these. These are, what do you call it, repurposed. They were originally, I think, for beach tennis, but they can now be used for blind table tennis. The same way for regular, what we call pok-pok rackets, table tennis rackets. We just do a little modification, because if you left the round edge, it would pose a little challenge. And I think also for beginners, that's a wonderful place to start. But as you increase in proficiency, you could actually keep the round edge, because now the skill level would have raised, and the person's playing would have been able to manage their game easier. We have repurposed goggles here also for those persons who are sighted. You can also use the blindfolds that you get when you travel on aircrafts and so on. That works well. We have night shades. And the ball, that's the special part. It has a little rattle in it, and that's what causes the sound, because it's the whole focus of the game is to use sound to create the excitement, the movement, the challenge from one end of the game to the other. Like table tennis, and Mr. Wells can come in here in terms of service and all of that. The difference with this sport is that the ball passes under the net. It doesn't bounce over, it rolls under from one opponent's side to the other. How you score a point? If the ball comes into contact on your side here, then your opponent has scored a point, and likewise, if you play and your opponent is unable to prevent that ball from hitting the edge on his side, then you get a point or whatever. There's going to be an umpire, because we're playing with persons who have no sight in the game. So the umpire will decide, for example, if the ball is served and it stops here, then nobody can access the ball. He will return the ball to the person who served previously. So, well, in terms of the service, I would you make a beautiful recommendation in terms of the number of service per persons. You can tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the service, we rather stick to the way it's actually played internationally, where the game goes to like 11 points, and each person gets an opportunity to serve twice. And if there is a stalemate at 10 all, then you have to win by 2 points. It becomes 1 serve each if the game juices. So in table tennis, you must win by at least 2 points. Okay, so we will stick to these rules for that.
And since it's a herring sport, the two participants, before a service is made, the player who is conducting the service will call out to his other player to ensure that he's ready. So he'll say, "Are you ready?" The other player will respond, "Yes," and then the ball will serve. I spent almost 9 weeks in Japan. I didn't learn any Japanese, sorry about that. But it was the one thing I remember in Japanese is that when you want to say ready, you say ikimasu, and the other person on the other side answers hi. That's the only Japanese I know. Ikimasu, hi. So instead of you say, "Are you ready?" and the person responds yes, and the game begins. Just one other thing. Since it's played by air, the player would crouch over to get his air closer to the board so that he can conduct the game. And like table tennis also, your non-playing hand should not be on the board. So you use your playing hand to get your ball in position. As soon as you're ready for serve, this hand should no longer be any part on the board, and you can be warned and penalized if you persistently ignore that rule. Other than that, it's fair game play, and as we go along,